China just pulled off something that has U.S. defense analysts on edge. Its new J-20S is the world's first twin-seat stealth fighter and is rewriting the rules of aerial dominance. With one pilot flying and another commanding a fleet of drones, this jet isn't a fighter, but an airborne command center. Early reports suggest it could outsmart America's most advanced aircraft, the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II, before they even realize that they're being tracked. Here is why the J-20S might be the biggest threat to U.S. air superiority yet. China's J-20S fighter emerges. The J-20S marks a major leap in China's ambitions for air superiority. It is derived from the single-seat J-20 platform, and the twin-seat J-20S brings new dimensions of tactical flexibility and networked warfare capability. Officially spotted in formations of the People's Liberation Army Air Force in 2025, the J-20S pairs a pilot up front with a mission systems officer sitting behind. What's more, this second seat is far more than a trainer's perch. The design retains most of the original J-20's stealth-oriented airframe, like the chined fuselage, canted tailplanes, and diverterless supersonic inlets. But it adds more features like a lengthened canopy and accommodations for the second crew member. The rear seat operator is meant to coordinate unmanned aerial vehicles, manage electronic warfare systems, and integrate the fighter into a network-centric battle space. Aside from the crew configuration, the J-20S brings enhanced sensor suites and mission connectivity. The aircraft stands out with an electro-optical targeting system that actually has full spherical coverage, passive infrared search and track, radio frequency sensors, and advanced data links for coordinating drones and other assets. China plans to use the J-20S for more than just traditional air-to-air engagements. Instead, it serves as an airborne node that can coordinate strikes, swarm unmanned wingmen, and operate deep within contested airspaces. Propulsion remains one of the main areas of development for China's J-20S. Earlier J-20 variants used the WS-10 series engines, but the heavier J-20S is being repaired for or testing the more powerful WS-15. It allows for a longer range, higher altitude, and supersonic cruise without afterburners. These capabilities give it more than enough endurance to face Western fifth-generation fighters. The J-20S represents a major shift in China's air power, as its technology can now match Western platforms. Analysts are now watching to see how the J-20S compares to the F-22 from the US, how the J-20S challenges the F-22. When you pair up the J-20S and the F-22, you're seeing two entirely different visions of air combat. The F-22 Raptor was built for one-on-one dogfights, with supreme stealth, unmatched agility, and an engine that lets it soar and pivot when the moment demands it. As for the J-20S, it's emerging as something far broader and perhaps more strategic. It's a high-reach, networked command platform that threatens to reframe how air dominance is achieved. Take stealth and maneuverability, for instance. The F-22 remains the gold standard in terms of raw air-to-air performance, with thrust vectoring, a refined airframe, and battle-tested sensors that give it an edge in close-quarters engagements. Yet the J-20S has a design that's shifting the fight. With the new WS-15 engine and long-range weapons carried internally, China is tilting the balance. Where the F-22's strength lies in strength dominance and killing the enemy before they see you, the J-20S is adding another dimension, with range, payload, and the ability to coordinate more than just itself. The J-20S appears to challenge the F-22's dominance in terms of range. Its combat radius and reach exceed that of the F-22 by a noticeable margin. That extended reach means China's new fighter can threaten targets and support assets far deeper from its bases, reducing one of America's longtime advantages. The F-22, despite its superb design, is limited by fuel, support, and all the logistics of long-range deployment. The J-20S is built into a doctrine that focuses on regional protection instead of blitz dogfights. Then there's the question of production, doctrine, and support. The US stopped building the F-22 years ago, locking in production at 186 aircraft. The J-20S and its variants are rolling off the Chinese production line in ever-increasing numbers, aligning with a strategy of greater numbers plus new tactics instead of a single airframe supremacy. The F-22 remains unmatched in many aspects, but what if the opponent multiplies platforms, extends reach, and uses networked systems in ways the F-22 wasn't originally designed for? Stealth remains one area where the F-22 arguably holds an edge over others. Analysts still believe that its radar cross-section, electronic warfare suite, and maneuver envelope are superior. It's not because China hasn't caught up, but more like the US has years of refinement behind it. But the gap is narrowing. The J-20S's upgrade path includes improved engines, enhanced sensors, drone integration, and long-range missiles. When one aircraft can see farther, strike sooner, and coordinate with unmanned systems, even a narrower stealth advantage might become less decisive. The F-22 might still win in a traditional one-on-one dogfight, but the J-20S threatens to change the battlefield by shifting the fight away from those parameters. And even another advanced American fighter, the F-35 Lightning II, might not be able to stand on par with it. What the J-20S means for the F-35. When China announced the release of the J-20S, it cast a long shadow over the future of the F-35 Lightning II. The F-35 has always been America's multi-role stealth powerhouse. It's sensor-fused, globally networked, and built to dominate in modern, high-tech warfare. But the J-20S is rewriting all the rules, and the F-35's dominance might face its toughest test yet. When considering the mission purpose, the F-35 was designed to act as the flying node of a wider network. Its strength doesn't only lie in speed and weapons, but also in built-in sensor fusion and connectivity with other assets. Meanwhile, China's J-20S is built around a different strategy, with extended reach, drone management, and regional dominance. Analysts have noticed that while the F-35 remains stealthier overall, the J-20 now boasts a superior range, higher speed with the supercruise potential, and a twin-engine format that supports heavier weapons and longer missions. For any military fighter, range and endurance are critical. The F-35's single-engine architecture and mission profile mean that it's optimized for versatility, quick response, and global operations. Meanwhile, the J-20S's design emphasis gives it the potential to strike from farther, loiter longer, avoid predictable support chains, and threaten those logistical points that the F-35 depends on. In scenarios like the Western Pacific, this means the J-20S could force F-35s into disadvantageous positions. There's also the question of sensors and stealth when comparing the two fighters. The F-35 remains widely regarded because it has superior overall stealth across multiple aspects and an unmatched integration of sensors and battlespace awareness. But the J-20S is advancing fast, with newer engines, longer-range missiles, and drone coordination that challenges the assumption of a one-fighter duel. Its ability to orchestrate swarms or to suppress or outflank the F-35's network is what makes it dangerous. The F-35 might still win one-on-one in ideal conditions, but war hardly ever gives ideal conditions. Production and strategy increase the threat that the J-20S poses to the F-35. The U.S. has thousands of F-35s planned and built, yet each is expensive, complex, and tied into a global logistics and alliance system. The J-20S is being produced as part of a doctrine favoring numbers, saturation, and attrition-resilient tactics. In plain terms, the F-35 might excel in isolated duels and precision strikes, but the J-20S scheme banks on winning the campaign by creating multiple dilemmas for the F-35, like longer enemy reach, overlapping threats, and fewer safe havens. With the emergence of the J-20S, the F-35 cannot dominate the air by stealth alone. It cannot assume that its network-centric model will always suffice, and the U.S. will have to improve its own tools. The F-35 can only remain the backbone of the U.S. air power if it evolves in hardware, tactics, basing strategies, and alliances. But America remains under threat, as China is planning to produce hundreds of J-20s, way more than what the U.S. ever makes in years. China's fleet strategy. China isn't planning to build a few game-changing fighters, but actually wants to flood the skies with many J-20s. The strategy behind the J-20S is more about generating massive numbers, so that one enters a fight not as a lone hero, but as part of an overwhelming force. In terms of cost efficiency, China's J-20S is planning to dominate the U.S. and does so by making its units very cheap to make. The F-22 alone carries unit costs way past $350 million, which is way higher than the initial estimates. As for the F-35, it costs about $175 million for each one. Meanwhile, analysts estimate the J-20's unit cost at roughly $110 to $120 million per aircraft, far cheaper than Western counterparts. China can make about 3 J-20 for every single F-22, and having more aircraft means it has a sheer presence. Production volumes are increasing the effect. While U.S. fifth-generation fighter production is limited and constrained by cost, industrial complexity, and political constraints, China doesn't have all these problems. Reports are showing that the J-20S is already reaching a fleet size of 300 aircraft by late 2025. It seems like China is planning to produce about 70 aircraft per year, and even has the potential for rates above 100 annually as factories expand. China doesn't just want an elite jet, but they want hundreds. If China can have hundreds of advanced J-20S fighters, while the US only has a few top fighters, the latter is definitely going to be vulnerable. In case of a confrontation, the US can get worn down by numbers, even if its jets might be superior. What's more, with cost efficiency and large numbers, China can afford to lose multiple aircraft while still having a large number. China will erode enemy advantage, not just by technology but also by volume and persistence. The fact that the J-20S has drone integration and networked warfare also gives it a numerical advantage in air-to-air warfare. Each J-20S isn't flying alone, but can command unmanned wingmen, sensors, and strikes at scale. It has the ability to multiply effects, and this gives China an asymmetric edge. It's like one advanced jet commanding many. This is different from US fighters, whose numbers are fixed and upgrades are expensive. China's fleet strategy is leveling the playing field. So even if the US might have the most advanced engines, the longest experience, and the best pilots, China is standing out with its hardware abundance and cost efficiency. China is now preparing a game plan against US weaknesses. China's game plan against US weaknesses, air-to-air conflict, isn't simply between jets anymore, but now between entire systems of warfare. And China is playing for far more than one dogfight. Their plan doesn't revolve around smashing one fighter at a time, but it revolves around crippling the infrastructure that keeps US air power aloft. It's a strategy of systems destruction warfare. America's fighters are supported by a vast network. It has large refueling tankers loitering miles from the front, aircraft carriers projecting power across ocean expanses, and the forward air bases in places like Guam, Japan, and even Hawaii. All of these are assets that give the US its global reach. China's new jets, including the twin-seat stealth fighter structure, are built with the real world in mind. Extended range, stealth, and the ability to hit not just other fighters but the logistical lifelines those fighters depend on. The emergence of long-range aerial tankers, for instance, means that Chinese forces can now think in terms of operating far from home ground, refusing to stay pinned near the launch zone. In-flight refueling allows Chinese fighters and command aircraft to threaten or reach the outer bounds of US bases that were once considered safe. Meanwhile, China's missile arsenal, layered with aerial, naval, and ground-based systems, aims to force US carriers and air bases further back, shrinking the protective bubble that American air power has relied on. Drones add another dimension to this. These have become force multipliers that allow for a high number of low-cost, networked aircraft that multiply the effect of each manned fighter. When a Chinese command platform sends out drones in multiple directions, US defenses can't simply focus on one fighter, but must defend many vectors at once. This gives China a strategic advantage over the US. But what's the technology that's driving China's push against the US? The hidden tech driving China's stealth push. Behind the J-20S, there's an impressive technology revolution in Chinese aerospace engineering. China has technologies that are so deep and strategic, they plan to rewrite the rules of air combat. The heart of the J-20S is its emerging WS-15 engine. Reports indicate its domestic turbofan is capable of producing on the order of 180 kilonewtons of thrust per engine, putting the J-20S squarely in the performance realm, long dominated by the West. That raw power delivers a high-altitude reach, rapid acceleration, extended loiter time, and the ability to sustain supersonic flight without afterburners. This capability is known as supercruise. Supercruise is a game changer. In combat, when you can fly at supersonic speeds without blazing your exhaust or draining fuel tanks, you gain time, surprise, and survivability. The J-20S's new engines appear to make that possible. Previously, Chinese fighters were built with power plants that limited the full use of their airframe's stealth and aerodynamic potential. With WS-15, that boundary is shifting, but engine thrust is only one technology that China is leveraging. The J-20S also incorporates advanced sensor suites and electronic warfare systems that penetrate the once safe stealth zone. It has passive infrared search and track sensors, electro-optical targeting systems, and radar-absorbing materials that come together to reduce detection, increase situational awareness, and complicate the targeting of opponents. One of the most impressive technological leaps is the integration of electronic warfare modules designed to jam, spoof, or degrade the data links that underpin modern fighters like the F-35. The J-20S is messing with how the opponents fight. Then there's the drone command capability. The second crew member in the twin-seat J-20S is not a mere observer, as the operator can coordinate unmanned aircraft, sensor nets, and strike assets in real time. It turns the jet into a flying command node. China appears to have leapfrogged into a mode where one-manned aircraft orchestrates unmanned ones, increasing its reach and effect across the battlespace. Many of the innovations behind the J-20S have been made to close the gap on U.S. advantages through focused intelligence work, industrial effort, and strategic investment. But the U.S. isn't sitting back waiting for China to dominate the international airspace. America's plan to outpace the J-20S. The stakes have never been higher, and in the glare of rising challenges from China's new systems, the U.S. is moving fast to reset the race. Washington still wants to hold its dominance in the air. At the heart of that effort, there's a push towards sixth-generation fighters, longer-range stealth jets built for tomorrow's battles. The U.S. has emerged with the Next-Generation Air Dominance Program, which envisions a family of systems that pairs a manned fighter with swarms of drones. In parallel, upgrades to existing fleets and jets like the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II are already ongoing. The U.S. is now adding stronger sensors, advanced electronic warfare defenses, and new capabilities to handle teaming with unmanned systems. America knows it can't rely on stealth and speed alone, and it needs to focus on resilient networks and what the Pentagon calls team warfare. To that end, loyal wingman drones are moving from concept into reality. Under the collaboration programs, hundreds of unmanned aircraft will fly alongside manned jets, scouting ahead, jamming enemy sensors, drawing fire, and engaging threats so that the pilot remains one step ahead. Meanwhile, supply chains, production lines, and allied industrial capacity are being reshored and expanded. Because regardless of how advanced a jet is, if you can't build enough of them or keep flying, you lose the advantage. And the U.S. isn't acting alone. It's partnering with allies such as Japan, Australia, and South Korea to increase its distributed air power, create shared basing, and complicate any opponent trying to force a one-on-one showdown. The U.S. is making efforts to take back control from China because the J-20S might just be a threat to American security. What the J-20S means for U.S. security. The J-20S is a diplomatic, military, and strategic signal that the era of looming American air dominance might be reaching its end. For decades, the U.S. has operated from the assumption that the skies are its domain, especially across the Indo-Pacific. But the J-20S challenges this, as the United States might now be defeated. The aircraft makes China's arrival a peer military competitor. Beijing is now fielding advanced high-end types designed to contest U.S. air supremacy. With this capability, China is investing not in jets, but in the credibility that it can threaten or hold at risk U.S. systems, allies, bases, and assets. That matters for U.S. security because American power projection has rested on air dominance, on the assumption that U.S. fighters can operate unchallenged, and that carriers, bases, and tankers are safe. The J-20S places that assumption under attack. If U.S. air superiority falters, the ripple effects travel far beyond the cockpit. Alliances in the Pacific, like Japan, Australia, South Korea, and others, rely on American deterrence. If the U.S. cannot guarantee that deterrence, those allies may hesitate, hedge, or shift their positions. That reshapes the strategic map far more fundamentally than any single aircraft. Economically, the consequences cascade. Global trade routes, maritime freedom, energy and supply chains all depend on a stable security posture underwritten by U.S. air power. If Beijing convinces itself or others that the U.S. cannot dominate the skies, the risk to markets, sea lanes, and investor confidence rises. Still, the United States retains pillars of strength. Its pilots remain the best trained. Its combat experience is unmatched. Its alliance networks are broad and deep. Innovation in stealth, electronic warfare, and AI continues to tilt the scales. But the future doesn't belong to hardware alone. It belongs to institutions, doctrine, production, and partnership. The U.S. must leverage its alliances, sustain its industrial base, evolve its tactics, and keep pace technologically. China's J-20S has the power to outsmart America's F-22 and F-35, and the U.S. is racing to fix this incoming imbalance. Do you think the U.S. can gain the upper hand once again, or is this China's win? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all global military events.